Dandadan just finished its second season, and I'm going to talk about it. Because on the record, it is one of the best animes I've ever watched. I haven't been this surprised by a new anime since I watched Demon Slayer. I already made a video talking about the first season, as well as giving my initial thoughts on the second. I'll link that video in the description. And yeah, let's dive right in and talk about the second season of Dandadan. So to give y'all a quick recap, previously on Dragon Ball Z, Season 2 picks up where Season 1 left off. Momo is saved from drowning, and she and Okarun learn that Gigi's house has been used as a sacrificial altar for the cryptid known as Tsukinoko by the Keto family, who I think are going to have a big role to play in the third season, but more on that later. They plan to sacrifice Gigi and his parents to appease the creature, but didn't know there was another entity living in the house, the Evil Eye, who is the cursed soul of someone they had previously sacrificed. Now, episode 4 marks the end of the Cursed House arc. Lava begins flowing towards the village, and Momo tries to stop it by using the corpse of Tsukinoko, the death worm, as a giant hose. But while she's doing that, she gets attacked by the Evil Eye, who manages to regain consciousness after Okarun's beating and escaped from underground. She gets saved by a local villager she previously encountered, who turns out to be a student of her grandmother, Seko Ayase. So Momo, Manjiro, and the Keto family are all fighting the Evil Eye now, but are still no match for it. Then the Mantis Shrimp from Season 1 returns to help Momo, as well as Seko Ayase and Taro. Together, they manage to keep the Evil Eye in check long enough for Seko Ayase to contain it inside of Taro's body using a talisman, and the Mantis Shrimp uses his UFO to easily pick up the death worm and put out the fire. So that pretty much summarizes the Cursed House arc and first 4 episodes of Dandadan Season 2. While I like the arc overall, I will admit they might have rushed things just a little bit. Episode 4 was so nuts to butts insane, and a lot happened, but there really wasn't enough time to let things marinate. I do like how the arc ends, especially when Momo realizes Okarun is alive. It's another great example of how well this series delivers emotional beats. I just wish we got to see more of that. Though I understand why they had to cut it there. After all, the core focus of this season does revolve around the Evil Eye, and let me tell you what, his arc is something else. So the Evil Eye arc begins with everyone having dinner at Seko Ayase's house, which provides the perfect opportunity for them to exposition dump. The reason why the Mantis Shrimp returned to Earth was because he couldn't milk a cow on their home planet. That sounded incredibly wrong, but basically he needs milk in order to perform blood transfusions for his son every day, and in order to do that now, they'll be living on Earth from here on out. Which I don't mind. I've said before, I really like the aliens and how they fight. So more fighting from Mr. Mantis Shrimp, I'm all for. And the inclusion of his son, Chiquichita, makes for some great interactions between him and Ira. I just realized again, Ira was there also having dinner with everyone, though she wasn't included in the Cursed House arc, which was criminal in my opinion, but I'm glad she was there because it made for some great interactions amongst the group as usual, and she does have more to do in the season going forward. Anyways, they learn hot liquids are the Evil Eye's weakness, so they use that to help Gigi keep it at bay while they wait for an exorcist to help kill it for good. And by the way, the exorcism was f***ing hype. They have a Black Sabbath-style concert calling upon the spirits of the underworld to help kill the Evil Eye. Now, in the end, they don't, but it was still one of the most memorable scenes in the entire anime so far. Not that there's really any scenes that are forgettable, there aren't any pointless scenes in Dandadan. Even little things you might think are just part of the comedy or slice of life aspect, like Okarun asking Momo how much she weighs. Turns out they are pivotal at some point in the series. In fact, since I mentioned it, that scene with the exorcist, the Hayashi, it comes back later in the season during Okarun and Ira's training, as Okarun uses their song to help him find his rhythm in combat. Actually, I just wanted to take a moment and say the sound and cinematography in the series is spectacular. Each entity has their own theme song, and I really like that because it helps gives individuality to everyone or thing they face. So the arc ends with Okarun challenging the Evil Eye to another fight, and because of his training with Turbo Granny, he's able to hold his own and strike a deal with the yokai. The Evil Eye agrees to only fight Okarun and no one else, thereby reducing him as a threat, and he solidifies the terms of their agreement by handing Okarun his underwear. Did the Evil Eye need to hand over his cursed pair of underpants? No. But was it funny? Absolutely. Dandadan is a comedy first and foremost, and if I had to compare it to another series in terms of structure, it'd be the regular show of anime. Because while the aliens, ghosts, and other paranormal beings do make up a large chunk of its plot, as I said in my first video, this series involves a lot of slice of life, and this gets fleshed out through the absurdity of an alien attack, or having a character get possessed by a ghost. Now I think the final arc was when Season 2 really took me by surprise, because I didn't expect it, as did anyone else when the mid-season trailer dropped. I initially thought Season 2 would end by setting up the Kaiju arc, just like how Season 1 ended by setting up the Cursed House. But it turns out Season 2 ends by setting up for the Space Globalist arc. So let's talk about the Kaiju arc. Best arc of the season. They keep one-upping the yokai with how well their fights are against the aliens. And this one was a space kaiju who could camouflage and control electricity. What the fuck? It's amazing how entertaining the fights are against the aliens in this series. Because they are stronger than the yokai, the series makes that very clear, and how it's the yokai that are preventing the aliens from invading Earth. Yet, despite half the group now having yokai powers, they're still struggling more fighting the aliens and still end up having to run away before finding a solution eventually. I mean, in this case, yeah, it's a freaking kaiju. What are they supposed to do in their current state? Perform a Circus Soleil? Start dropping backflips and shit? Anyways, they beat the kaiju by using the nanotechnology that was used to rebuild Momo's house, to create a Gundam that was piloted by Kinta to fight the kaiju. Kinta was a new character that was introduced in this arc, and I really liked him. I know he's a fan favorite, but I have to admit, they definitely didn't dive as deep into his character like they did with some of the others in their introduction arc. Though I guess he did get his own season mid-trailer, so I feel like it would be hard for anyone to dislike him regardless. However, since the season ends with the introduction of that character, Season 3 is going to heavily focus on them, which means there's probably going to be less time to really flesh out Kinta. If you know, you know. Overall, I think Season 2 of Dandadan was good, and it didn't diminish the quality of the first season, but I will say I did enjoy Season 1 just a bit more, because going into Season 2, I felt like I already knew what to expect from the series at this point, and there weren't a lot of moments that really subverted my expectations until the last arc. There was really only one thing that was left unresolved that I'm still thinking about. I hinted at it at the beginning of the video. The Keto family. Turns out they're actually part of a race known as Subterraneans. That definitely left me wondering what their role will be going forward in the series. Now, I'm just assuming they're aliens. I don't know if Subterraneans are like lizard people, but I assume they'll have a part to play in the next season which will heavily revolve around aliens. So that's something to look forward to. But outside that, there were just other things I generally liked more in Season 1, such as how they handled their emotional beats. I still think Episode 7 was phenomenal in that regard, and since Season 2 ended with debuting that character, hopefully they'll get the same treatment following their arc in Season 3. But anyways, I just wanted to talk about this and give y'all my thoughts on Dandadan now that Season 2 has ended, and I highly recommend watching it if you haven't already. That's really about it, so...